Primetime local news, serving the Lakeland and Midwest regions.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. 4 more people who tested positive for COVID-19 in Saskatchewan have died. They were in the 30 to 39, 40 to 49, 70 to 79, and 80 plus age groups, all in the Regina zone. There are 231 new cases of COVID-19 in Saskatchewan, including 12 in the Northwest. 2 cases are in the immediate Lloydminster area, where we have 117 active cases. 103 variants of concern have been reported in cases in the Lloydminster area to date. 2,551 cases are considered active province-wide. 185 people are in hospital, with 2 in the Northwest. More than 365,000 vaccine doses have been administered in the province, with over 24,000 in our zone. Lloydminster Mayor Gerald Albers, along with members of the Lloydminster Fire Department, helped break ground on the new fire station 1 today. The new hall will be built on a city-owned piece of land near 39th Avenue and 47th Street. The new station's location will give firefighters easy access to both major highways in the city, which is expected to help with a response time, and will feature a training tower.
Having everybody under one roof administratively instead of spread across the city, easier communication for the team that's within the fire department as well as the administration staff, and future growth for training opportunities. Having the training tower built within the new facility gives us more training opportunities, for building our response capabilities within the city and surrounding municipalities.
This is one of the first major city infrastructure projects to break ground this year. Mayor Albers is pleased to see this project take shape, saying the fire hall is one of many projects that will service the community as it grows.
A modern fire hall is critical to our community for this public safety. We'll be opening the library in a new location at ground level, where it's easy accessible for residents from the current location. We're going to be opening the Lloyd Cultural and Science Center, the museum building later this summer. Then we'll be doing the groundbreaking for the wastewater treatment plant. These are all projects that benefit our community.
Construction of the fire station is expected to be completed in early 2022. The Lloydminster Citizens on Patrol Society is asking Lloydminster City Council for funding, as COVID-19 has reduced the group's fundraising efforts. Eric Bay has more.
The Citizens on Patrol Society is made up of volunteers patrolling the city, deterring criminal activity. Since the pandemic began, the group has not been able to carry out patrols due to COVID precautions.
We do our fundraising, we do barbecues, we do safe rides home from weddings or any events, Christmas parties, stuff like that, and security for Bobcat games we've done in the past. A few other things that we do like that, but that's all been canceled.
Along with patrols, fundraising for Citizens on Patrol has been greatly reduced, leaving the group unable to cover its overhead for its vehicles. The group is asking City Council for an annual $5,000 donation to continue patrolling the city.
Our vehicles, it's about $3,000 just for the insurance and registration of the vehicles. We have legal fees, $1,500 a year just to do our finances, and a few other miscellaneous items, licensing and stuff.
Multiple options were discussed, including allocating some of the funds collected through Photo Radar to Citizens on Patrol. Half of the profits from Photo Radar go back into the community.
A lot of pedestrian safety crossings. That's been an area of concern in the past and continues to get addressed. So that's where money have been spent. Now this will be something a little different, but certainly has some merits. And you heard that from council.
A funding plan will have to be brought to council by administration before a decision can be made.
I know there's a lot of volunteer organizations that are finding it tough and difficult for fundraising, so it's something the city will have to consider if it comes forward from administration, which I suspect it will, and what they propose for a funding methodology.
Larry adds the funding would limit fundraising, allowing more time for patrols. Eric Bay, Primetime Local News.
The numbers are in for the virtual polar bear splash, and the Border City Connects are very happy with the results. The event took to online this year due to the COVID pandemic, but that didn't stop the community from submitting videos showing their support for the organization by getting drenched in cold water. The event raised over $17,000, but an anonymous donor gave the remaining funds to help reach the goal, something the organization was very touched to see.
That's you know, our community is full of individuals like that, and traditionally when somebody needs a hand, there's somebody there to top it up.
All the money raised will help with general operations, which includes the Border City Express and the Caravan. Despite receiving a small amount of government funding, Fagnan still prefers to raise funds themselves.
We would rather have it that way. We'd rather do it ourselves, and then we have a little bit more freedom. The funding we do receive from them is really appreciated, and you know, we would always like to have a little bit more, but the independence is also good.
The next big event for Border City Connects will be Ribfest, expected to take place this June. In this week's Beyond the Classroom, we take a look at the land-based learning program at Bishop Lloyd Middle School that teaches students the skills that aren't always required in the classroom. Students in the land-based learning program learn a variety of outdoor skills that can help them in many ways. They've recently been scraping and cleaning hide, as well as working with birch trees.
It's kind of at the end of the season when sap would be running. I've been able to go out and collect sap and then bring it back, and so we've tried just like drinking the sap itself, and then we're trying to boil it down to make some syrup, and then we're also peeling some birch trees that we've brought in that we're going to be using to make some moose calls and try to make some bowls and little holding containers with that.
Those are just a few of the skills that are taught in land-based learning, but it also helps students mentally.
Most of the students don't come in with some of these traditional skills. I know I don't come in with a lot of these traditional skills, and so keeping going when we struggle or in the face of adversity, I think, is one of the biggest skills that we're working on. Ability to, you know, talk to each other. It's even just having the ability to work on something in sort of a less formal, not sitting in a desk.
This year, the class didn't get to go on their camping trip due to COVID-19, but in the meantime, the students still took away a variety of techniques.
We've also been learning about the different parts of an animal, and like in our classroom we've been like growing chickens and stuff. So, and we're learning how to like do things like outside, like with natural material and stuff like that.
Working more with hides than camping, or we've gone canoeing at Bun Miller, and even though we're not camping, it's still a lot of fun to be in this class.
The land-based learning program also teaches the students lessons from different cultures to broaden their skills.
We're very lucky to be able to, you know, weave together Indigenous knowledge and Western knowledge and kind of see how they intertwine and play off of each other. And so typically we'd bring in a lot more guests, but in a world of COVID, we can't bring in as many guests. So I try to go and work with guests and then bring it back to the students.
Registration for the land-based learning program is currently open, and that's it for this week's Beyond the Classroom.
Beyond the Classroom is brought to you by Lakeland College, home to the most hands-on education in Canada. Apply today and graduate job ready.
Now our Connor channel, take a first look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. It was a very warm day today for us here in Lloydminster, as we are in the 19-degree mark right now. Lots of sunshine. There was a little bit of wind throughout the mid part of the day, but lots of sun and warm temperatures nonetheless. But that is going to change tomorrow, as we are going to dramatically drop temperatures, which we'll showcase in just a second here. But looking at other temperatures in the area, lots of 20 degrees here in the immediate Lakeland area. Vermilion, Wainwright, Vegreville, Edmonton sitting at the 20 degrees. 19 also for Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Lac La Biche, as well as in Edmonton, Provost, and Macklin. North Battleford also sitting at 19 degrees as well. 19 also for Meadow Lake, 18 up in Isle Cross and Green Lake, and then 17 degrees we see here in St. Walburg for today. Now, taking a look at the satellite radar map, some cloud coverage is going to start to emerge. There is some rain that is going to make its way. There is that system of rain that is going to make its way through Edmonton around the 8:30 mark, and it could make its way over into the Lloydminster area. Rain and snow mix to be exact, so that could come around the later parts of the evening in terms of that 10:30, 11 o'clock mark is when we could start to see it, and that could carry over into tomorrow as well, but there's only a slight 30% chance of that happening for tomorrow. But looking at overnight in North Battleford, -1 is what the temperature will drop to overnight, going into 3 degrees tomorrow, so it is going to drop pretty significantly here in the area, and the wind's going to pick up a little bit more as well at 26 kilometers an hour. Looking at Cold Lake, cloudy skies overnight at -7, going into 3 degrees tomorrow for the day, with the wind coming in from the northwest north at 24 kilometers an hour. Lloydminster -4 overnight, and then 2 degrees tomorrow. So yes, we went from a very nice day today to very chillier to tomorrow with that high of 2 degrees. So here's a look at the next 3 days. We could start to see that snow system actually make its way through Friday as we have a 57% chance of some flurries coming in our way with that high of 6 and a low of -10. 7 degrees on Saturday with clear skies expected and that low of -9. That's a look at your weather for now. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Welcome back. For a second year in a row, the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation has canceled their annual Muck run due to COVID-19. Although they won't be having the event, the foundation is still accepting donations. We go to our Shelby Clark for more details.
I'm joined here with CEO of the Lloydminster Region Health Foundation, Malcolm Radke, and we're talking about the Muck Run being canceled for this year. How many years would it have been if the run was able to happen this year?
Oh, that's a good question. That run has been going for a solid 8 years now. And unfortunately, we obviously missed it last year. So this will be the second year without it.
And how much has the Health Foundation raised through this run so far?
So far, we've hit $100,000. So it's a nice chunk of change for us, especially in the spring when people are feeling better and getting ready for the outdoor events and get moving again. So yeah, it's been a nice one for us, and we're sad to have to miss it again.
And can you expand a bit on what's all involved with this run each year?
It's an easier version of a gladiator run, basically Spartan run. So yeah, you do a bit of a jog, and then there's throughout that jog around Bud Miller, around the park, there's different obstacles you can go on. You eventually get to the top of the hill and you slide down into a big foam party, and then there's obviously the infamous mud crawl that you always see in the photo, and crawl under trucks, or the monkey bars that are at the park, at the back of the park for us year round. You crawl over those you climb on those, and obviously if you slip you fall in the mud, and you just keep going. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. You do it with your friends and feel like you've accomplished something, and you raise money for charity.
And children were also allowed to participate in this run, correct?
Yeah, sadly, the last year that we were able to pull this event off, we created a mini muckers category, and it was actually a huge success. And I know some parents and kids were excited to get back to it. And then obviously last March, COVID hit, so we had to cancel last May's event pretty instantly. And this year we were hopeful. We had a couple plans for a smaller version of the event, and unfortunately, with the latest lockdowns and some of the rises in COVID variant cases, it just made sense for us to err on the side of caution for one more year.
Yes. Can you tell me more on what the process was like for the foundation to finally decide about the cancellation for this event?
Sure. We were excited in December coming off our radiothon. Mikey Dubs ran all day for us, 124 kilometers. So we thought, well, maybe we can incorporate his audience and his crowd and the jogging elements, expand on that a little bit. And we had a bunch of new ideas, and obviously, like you mentioned before, the mini muckers, there was a few different ideas we tossed around, and we just kept watching the social distancing and outdoor gathering rules change, and we were obviously hopeful that it would be going in the other direction. But recently, in the last month or so, it seems pretty obvious that until the vaccines are totally rolled out, those outdoor gathering rules aren't changing anytime soon. So from a planning perspective, yeah, we just had to delay it for another year and not take any risks with any smaller versions that we had in mind.
Better to be safe than sorry.
Yeah, unfortunately for us, we work in healthcare, so we have to err that way. And then I was just going to say, we'll look in the fall and next winter, we'll start to see if things open up again and vaccinations go well, then obviously we'll start planning and we'll hope to do it bigger and better next year.
And how else can people help support the foundation since this is not happening this year?
Well, we always accept donations. We are in the business of receiving donations. So, if you were going to drop that $50 on Muck Run, we ask you to consider repurposing it and just simply donate on our webpage. We still have a few COVID-related items in the senior care homes, and actually a couple of requests just recently came out of the Lloydminster Hospital lab department. So we're always receiving donations that way. And of course, people use our hospital regardless whether there's a pandemic or not. And the wish list for new equipment never seems to go away. So anything you can spare is always appreciated. And as I mentioned, the easiest way to do that is through our website, lrhf.ca/donate, or in the coming months, we will have a couple announcements about raffles, 50-50 type items and things like that. And that'll be obviously to replace Muck Run revenue and potentially other event revenue, depending how this summer goes.
And is there anything else you'd like to add that the foundation has planned for the rest of this year that they can do through COVID?
I don't think so. Obviously, we're moving to a lot more digital events, virtual events, like everybody else, and the community's been great to us. You guys really, the entire community stepped up and supported us over the last year in response to COVID, which is no surprise to anyone. And I know there's a lot of businesses and other charities out there hurting, so just do your best to give where you can, and just know that we're all super thankful for everything you can spare. And of course, thank you to Stingray and yourself for covering the story for us.
Now here are your stock market prices for today.
Today's oil prices are brought to you by First General Services.
The Bonnyville Pontiacs now sit with a record of 6-6-2 after picking up 2 wins against the Whitecourt Wolverines last weekend. A key contributor, Cash Rasmussen, who had a hat trick in each game. Evan Kenny has more on the fantastic weekend from the 20-year-old.
Last weekend, Pontiac's forward and captain, Cash Rasmussen, netted 6 goals in 6 periods.
That's what we expected if Cash had not been for the adversity that he's faced in the last number of years. He certainly proved a point and made that right statement, and he played the right way for sure.
Rasmussen has points in all but 2 games this season, averaging 1.4 points per game, an improvement from last season's 0.5 points per game.
But the unique thing about Cash is that he's got that inner drive. He gets up every day and he's prepared to outwork people. He gets up every day and knows that if it's going to be about getting better every day, then it's solely up to him. He's got an earn it mentality. And obviously with the perseverance that he's dealt with, he knows that it drives him as a fuel in order to be the best he can.
The boys from Bonnyville have earned points in their last 4 games and will look to continue that success this weekend with another doubleheader against the Wolverines.
Again, played as a cohesive group that played fast hockey with and without the puck. And obviously Cash's performance of 6 goals and Easton Hess coming back healthy, getting a shutout and 2 goals against. And then the addition of veteran defenseman Josh Kroon, who is an absolute beast and a very difficult player to play against because everybody that is on the opposition is uncomfortable to play against. So the addition of those 3 and the fact that now we're getting in a little bit of a rhythm.
Puck drop will be at 7 on Saturday and 5 on Sunday, with games available to watch on Hockey TV. Evan Kenny, Primetime Local Sports.
Now our Connor Chan will take another look at your weather forecast.
All right, thanks very much, Jasmine. Still sitting around the 20-degree mark, or at least kind of just shy of it, as we're sitting at 19. But lots of other areas have 20 degrees to talk about as we look at Edmonton and Athabasca at 20 and 21 degrees. Cold Lake sitting at 20 right now. 19 degrees we see in Red Deer and Rocky Mountain House. 16 for both Whitecourt and Jasper, and 15 for Edson. Looking to Saskatchewan temperatures, 19 for North Battleford as well as in Meadow Lake, 18 for Saskatoon, and 18 in Prince Albert, with 17 all the way out in Melfort. Looking up north, it is a little bit warmer for some parts like La Loche and Buffalo Narrows, sitting at the 20-degree mark. 13 for Wollaston Lake, 16 in South End, with 17 degrees in Larange, with 15 for Flin Flon. Uranium City still pretty chilly at 1 degree, and Stony Rapids at 4 degrees. Looking at Fort Chipewyan, yes, right now 1 degree along with high level, 13 degrees in Fort McMurray, 9 degrees for both Peace River and in Slave Lake, 10 degrees for Grand Prairie right now. Now, as we look to southern Alberta, it is, of course, very warm today, looking at 18 degrees in Lethbridge and Calgary, 17 for Medicine Hat, 19 for Coronation, and 14 degrees in Banff. But that could change as they are going to see a lot of cloud coverage over the next little bit here, as well as some rain-snow mixes throughout the week and even into the weekend as well. So that is, of course, prototypical, seems to be prototypical southern Alberta weather. Looking at southern Saskatchewan right now, 16 degrees for Moose Jaw and Regina, with 19 in Kindersley, 15 for Yorkton, and then 14 we see out there in Estevan. Now looking across the rest of the country, clear skies for Regina at that 16-degree mark. It's definitely warmed up in Winnipeg today at 14 degrees compared to what they had yesterday. A little bit of flurries as moving out east there from those systems we saw yesterday. 0 degrees in Quebec City, 2 degrees in Toronto, 7 in St. John's, and then 14 in Halifax. Vancouver with a little bit of clouds there, and mostly sun though at 14, -7 up in Yellowknife, and then 3 degrees in Whitehorse. It is going to be very much a big difference for tomorrow, so if you are going to go outside, do so today and enjoy the warm weather, because tomorrow it is going to be a little bit chillier. 2 degrees is our expected daytime high around the area. We see that in Vermilion, Marwayne, Pierceland. We'll see 3 degrees for Wainwright, Provost, as well as in Vegreville, St. Paul, Bonnyville, Cold Lake, and Lac La Biche. Macklin sitting at 4 degrees tomorrow. Maidstone, the coolest in the areas, sitting at 1. Isle of Cross is actually the coolest spot there at 0 degrees, and 3 degrees tomorrow for North Battleford. Now, as we take a look to the temperatures for the next 7 days, we could be starting to see some flurries on the Friday there, with a 57% chance of that happening. Going into Saturday, it is going to clear up with the high of 7 degrees. 8 degrees on Sunday, with that sun and cloud mix continuing on into Monday with that high of 10 degrees. 14 on Tuesday, as we are going to start to warm up gradually once again here, with also the little bit warmer overnights and mornings as well, as we are getting to -3 on that Tuesday at the low, and then a low of -2 on Wednesday, as we are going to have a high of 16 degrees. That is a look at your 7-day forecast. We'll have more primetime local news coming up after the break.
Dobson is back with us this week. Stephanie is a local lawyer and mediator with Henke Divorce Law and Mediation. Stephanie, we've been talking about mainly divorce proceedings and separation over the past couple of months. Today we're going to be talking about something that's kind of connected to that, and that's Clare's Law. So can you tell me a little bit about what Clare's Law is?
Sure. Clare's Law is new legislation in Alberta and recent legislation in Saskatchewan that's designed to help people who feel that they're at risk of domestic violence to find out whether their partner has a violent or abusive history. So this legislation arose out of the UK, where a young woman named Claire Wood back in 2009 was murdered by her ex-boyfriend, who was known to police to have a violent history. And it's thought that Claire's life could have been spared if she had had a mechanism to find out about the history of her ex-boyfriend. So in the UK, this legislation was first put into place in 2014. And in Alberta, it's brand new. April 1st, Clare's Law was proclaimed in Alberta. And in Saskatchewan, it was last year in June of 2020. It was proclaimed in Saskatchewan.
So Stephanie, how does Clare's Law work?
Sure. There's 3 parts to this legislation. So there's the right to ask, the right to know, and the right to privacy. So under the right to ask, this allows an applicant, which will typically be a person who is in an intimate partner relationship, to ask the police about their intimate partner's domestic violence history. So that's an application process to the police. There's also, the second one is the right to know. So this is a proactive approach that can be taken by the police where they can initiate a conversation with someone who's in possibly a situation of domestic violence, where they can actually, without even an applicant coming to them, they can initiate that discussion to let the applicant, the person, the potential victim of domestic violence, to find out about the violent history. And third is the right to privacy. So of course, our viewers might be wondering, that seems like a bit of an invasion of privacy of someone to tell an intimate partner about the history. So the legislation has really tried to emphasize making sure that the disclosure that's made is made in such a way as to only provide the information that's needed, and it's done in a way that it's not able to be used in other proceedings. It's just for the sole purpose of helping someone to make an informed choice of whether they should stay in that relationship or not.
So what are some of the things that a person can find out about their intimate partner's history?
So given that the main focus of this legislation is on the prevention of domestic violence, the information that they would receive would relate to the likelihood that the victim or the applicant would be a victim of domestic violence. So under the right to ask, the applicant is able to find out, and under the right to know, the police is able to provide the information about the history of domestic violence by the intimate partner. So there's an assessment that's conducted by the police as to the history, and the disclosure of that history is only made if there's certain things that are found out. So things like the history of domestic violence, of course, stalking or harassment, breaches of no contact orders, or other relevant information.
So once this is done, Stephanie, if there's a risk to the applicant, if that's found out through this process, then what happens after that?
So this assessment that's conducted can take a number of weeks, a number of months. And so in the meantime, irrespective of the level of risk, the applicant is able to talk with police about some social services agency opportunities for them to connect and to get the help that they need in the meantime while the assessment is being completed. So once the police does their assessment, the applicant will then meet with the police to get information about the partner's history. So depending on the level of risk that they find, that assessment or that interview with the police will be done either by phone or in person. So the police will come back with either insufficient information or the risk being low, moderate, or high. So there's many safeguards in place to ensure that the applicant is only able to use this information for the purpose of getting out of or making an informed choice about getting out of or staying in a relationship if there's a potential for domestic violence. So in the legislation and the regulation, there's specific wording that says you're not able to use any of this information in other proceedings. So you can't use it for the purpose of, say, a divorce battle. And it's of specific note that any information that's provided is only provided verbally and never provided in writing.
Stephanie, this is very important legislation. If people are looking to get the breakdown of it, or if they want to find out a little bit more about how Clare's Law works, what is the best way to get that information?
So because this legislation is so new, there's so much information online. And of course, it goes into so much more detail than what we've been able to get into today. And so there's specific steps that if you are someone who wants to find out information under the right to ask, you are an applicant, here's your application form, you can download it. I'm sure that there's also the opportunity to go to the police station and to be able to have a printed out copy if you need that, or the social services agencies would also be able to help to have an applicant make that formal application.
All right, Stephanie, well, thank you so much for breaking this down for us. We really appreciate you speaking with us, and we'll chat with you again next week.
You bet. Thanks, Stacey.
I'm happy to be joined once again here on Primetime Local News by Lauren Rodick-Eberly. Lauren is an expert in all things parenting and, well, really a whole bunch of different things, Lauren. So thank you so much for joining us again today.
Yes, thanks for having me on again.
Well, Lauren, today we are going to talk about your e-learning course. You also teach music, one of the many things that you do. And I want to talk about this course a little bit. First of all, why did you decide to develop this online music course?
Well, I've been teaching preschool music classes for over 10 years, and it's so much fun with the kids, and they learn so much at such a young age. But in the summer, because of COVID, this was the first time I couldn't do my in-person preschool classes. And I had a lot of people asking if I would develop something where they could do it virtual. And I do private lessons virtual. But I just thought, it's going to be a little tough with a bunch of little kids running around and singing. And how can we make this work? So I came up with the idea of creating a course that they can do at their own pace.
And what is the target age for this? What would you say that an age group that could apply for this course that would really benefit from?
Well, I normally say ages 3 to 5. When I was teaching this program in person, 2 to 5 years old, depending on the kid. But I've had so many people doing the course that are 9 months and up, really, because since you're doing it at home, the parents can do it with the kids and learn how to music together. So really, I would say anywhere under 5 years old.
So what can people expect for the parents when they see this course? What are some of the things that the kids will learn? Can you give me a bit of an example of how it's laid out?
Yes, so it's 12 weeks long, but like I said, you can do it at your own pace. So if you want to do a class a day, or if you want to spread it out and do one every week kind of focuses on a different topic. So they learn dynamics, their louds and their softs, to tempo, the speeds, fast and slow, and they'll even be learning music notes. So they'll learn all of this through song, dance, actions, and instruments. But the great thing is you actually need the instruments. I will have them in the course, but if you have a container and a spoon from the kitchen, that serves as a perfect drum to go along with what I'm using.
Is there a thought process, Lauren, to maybe making more courses and keep going up in age groups for this, since it has been so popular?
Yes, I have had people ask about that. So now I'm just dreaming up the next one. I have quite a wait list for my private lessons. So I'm thinking to start incorporating that a little bit, maybe a virtual class of go at your own pace, beginner piano, and maybe eventually I would do that for voice or something like that too. So I'm thinking that's what I'm going to work on this summer, is a beginner piano course.
And if anybody is looking for more information, or if they want to sign up, what is the best way to find that information, Lauren?
So the course is run through Kajabi, but the easiest way to find all of the information is just through my website or my Instagram. Both are Lauren Rodick-Eberly. So laurenrodick-eberly.com or at Lauren Rodick-Eberly on Instagram, and I have the links for the course there.
All right, Lauren, well, thank you so much for this information. It looks like just an exciting course and a great thing even for parents who still have to go through quarantine or can't do as much as they normally would, just to get their kids involved. So we really appreciate you joining us today, and good luck with everything.
Thank you so much. I hope I can bring music into more homes.
Thank you for joining us on Primetime Local News. Have a great night.